Hi there Waltoneers, I'm Jack and this is DSNY Newscast, and today I want to talk all about the Monsters Inc. roller coaster that's currently under construction at Disney's Hollywood Studios, as it was this time last year that I did my last big deep dive on this project, and at the time we discussed the roller coaster system and the innovative new loading area that had just been revealed, and I also discussed in great depth the track layout for the roller coaster based upon the model that was shown at D23 in 2024. And although this attraction is part of a larger Monsters Inc. land, which will likely be known as Monstropolis at Hollywood Studios, this roller coaster in particular is a very big deal for Disney, as it's the first suspended roller coaster that they've ever had at any of their Disney parks around the world. And the reason why Imagineering have chosen a suspended roller coaster here instead of a more traditional roller coaster system is because they're aiming to bring to life in the most realistic way possible this iconic chase scene within the door warehouse from the Monsters Inc. movie, and using a suspended roller coaster system just makes too much sense here. And so today I want to do another deep dive into this project, as a lot's happened in terms of construction, and because of that I've also been able to uncover a lot of new details about the building itself in terms of size and layout and the measurements of the whole thing. So I want to discuss that later on, but where I want to begin is a construction update, as over the past year we've been tracking the construction on this roller coaster, from the preliminary prep work that we saw on the construction site to the beginnings of the foundations going into the area to then the concrete pour on the foundations of the building. But now this construction project has indeed gone vertical, as we can see here, thanks to these fantastic aerial construction images from BioReconstruct over on Twitter and Instagram, that the first of the roller coaster support columns have been installed into the concrete foundation of the building. Now what's great about this is it seemingly confirms one of my previous theories about the construction approach I thought Imagineering were going to take towards this project to hopefully speed up the project overall. As realistically there's two ways you can construct a roller coaster. You can either construct it outside in plain view of everybody and construct and implement the whole roller coaster there and then enclose it inside of a building, or you can go the other way and construct the building first and then bring the roller coaster track and support columns in and try and put it into place inside of a confined space of the building. And that is very much the ship in a bottle kind of approach that we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. But now that we're starting to see the support columns go in place, we're going to see a lot more of this in real time, and it means that we can compare and contrast it to the model and get a better understanding of, are there going to be any changes between that model that we saw in 2024 and what we end up actually experiencing when it eventually opens. So it's just great to see from that standpoint. But then the other interesting thing about seeing the first support columns go into this construction site is that the location of them really matters here. And so if we look at the model and the track layout, we can see that these support columns are located outside of the main section of the door warehouse scene within the roller coaster. And we know from the animatic that was released for the loading area last year that it's going to be using a bespoke innovative loading system for a suspended roller coaster here, as most traditional suspended roller coaster systems tend to use a lift hill to get you to the highest point of the roller coaster and then let gravity do its thing and take you around the rest of the turns of the actual roller coaster. But because Imagineering are mimicking the door retrieval mechanism from the movie and trying to make it as realistic as possible, they're going to load you at ground level and then lift you up into place and send you on the track. But because you're going to be level with the track up there, there's not going to be a lift hill. So Imagineering last year did mention that there's going to be a boost section at the beginning of the roller coaster that then takes you out and into the door warehouse. And if you look at the roller coaster track here, it only makes sense that the launch sequence or the boost section happens on the right hand side of this track layout, because that's a nice long piece of track for them to operate a boost section to the roller coaster, whereas on the other side that looks more like it's going to be a brake run before you come back into the load and unload area for the roller coaster. So seemingly we now have the direction of travel for this roller coaster. It's probably going from left to right, as you can see in this track layout on the screen right now. But I mention all of this because with these roller coaster supports being close to the beginning of the load sequence, and we know it's likely to be part of the boost area, what we're looking at with the roller coaster supports are going to likely be the maximum height of the support columns. Unless, of course, there's multiple boost sections because it needs to keep the momentum going for the actual roller coaster train, but I think that what we're seeing is most likely the maximum height of the support columns there. Then elsewhere around Walt Disney World, BioReconstruct found the construction staging for the roller coaster track, and it's actually located behind the back of Epcot's World Showcase. But the other interesting thing about all of this is that there's some other grey looking steel support beams within this same construction staging site, and obviously we don't know for certain that this is going to be used for the Monsters Inc. attraction because we haven't seen any of these certain support beams show up on the construction site yet to confirm that, but the fact that they're staged within the same location, I think it would be logical to assume that they're going to be making their way over to the Monsters Inc. attraction. And so I think we should keep our eyes peeled on this staging site for seeing the track show up within this same spot here as well. But looking at those grey steel supports, I reckon that's going to be additional theming around the track within the construction site itself. Now, looking at all the latest construction, there's actually a lot more that we can work out about this project, from the size and the layout of the building, and actually measuring out all the individual sections of the building as well. But before we dive into all of that, I want to say a quick thanks to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Monarch Money. Now, if you're watching this video today, there's probably a good chance that you're planning a trip to Disney in the next year or so, and with the way the world is right now, with high inflation, high gas prices, high cost of living, sitting down and trying to figure out a way to save for your next Disney vacation can be overwhelming, and that's where Monarch Money comes into all of this, as Monarch is a private, ad-free personal finance platform that syncs with over 13,000 institutions through a fast and secure setup with all major banks, credit cards and brokerages. And because it is ad-free, it means that you are a customer to Monarch and not the product here. And so instead of jumping between 5 different banking apps or staring despairingly at a spreadsheet, with Monarch you can see all your accounts, spending, reoccurring bills, and even your net worth and progress on paying off debt all in one easy to understand dashboard, synced across platform on both mobile and desktop. And it's not just a matter of showing you where your money went, but with AI-powered insights, it helps you make more informed financial decisions. And when it comes to the planning and the budgeting to make a Disney vacation happen, it oftentimes falls all upon one person to manage it all. But with Couples View, it means you're both looking at the exact same financial picture, where you can separate fixed expenses from flexible spending, set custom categories and rules, and keep you focused on the end goal of getting on vacation. And so check out Monarch Money for yourself today, and if you use my link in the description box, you can get 50% off your first year with Monarch Money with code DSNY50. But coming back to this construction and looking at where we are in terms of the construction process, we can actually see plain as day a lot of the layout of this building from these fantastic aerial images from BioReconstruct. And you can see the distinct sections of the building really starting to show up here, and how it's being broken up into separate sections, and there will be walls that will follow the certain path of the building. But there is an additional element to all of this, and it's because last year in June of 2025, there was a new GIS map, which stands for Geographic Information System map, as part of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. And it gave us the exact shape and location of this Monsters Inc. roller coaster building. And it was a big story at the time, which I think I first saw it over on the WDW Magic website. But it was great to see the footprint of this actual building before any construction had taken place, located within the cast member parking lot, so we could really get an idea of the overall size of it. And if you took that and you put it into Google Earth and lined it up perfectly, you could take a measurement of the overall size of the building, and it was approximately 103,000 square feet, which, to put that into context for you, Rock and Roller Coaster is approximately 70,000 square feet, and the actual gravity box section of Rock and Roller Coaster is only around 33,000 square feet. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is a massive, gargantuan building, but the gravity box section of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind was 74,000 square feet. Obviously, it's very, very tall. You can easily see it from the Epcot car park and within Epcot as well. But there's one extra thing we can do here, which is now we've got these aerial images from BioReconstruct. If we layer these onto the GIS map, and then take that and put that into Google Earth, we can measure out the exact size of each section of the building. So, to begin with, the loading area, which is this section here, is approximately 13,000 square feet. And then coming out of the loading area, we know we're going in this direction towards this long tunnel section. And this section measures out to be approximately 24,600 square feet. Then, the warehouse, interestingly enough, has been broken up into two separate areas, seemingly from the construction images, and just looking at the foundation work here, it looks like it's got some sort of dividing wall in the warehouse. So I've measured these two out as two separate measurements, but then I'll add them together for a total size of the warehouse section of the coaster. The first section being 14,000 square feet, and then the second section being 20,200 square feet. So altogether, the warehouse section of the building is approximately 34,200 square feet in size for just the warehouse component. That huge, themed environment that we'll be traveling around in most of the roller coaster, that is 34,200 square feet. Now, that's an interesting number. I just want to make a very quick side note on this, because Frozen Ever After over at Epcot, that measures out for the attraction portion of that building is approximately around 29,000 square feet. And the Little Mermaid ride over at Magic Kingdom, that measures out to be approximately 32,000 square feet. So just within the warehouse section of the Monsters Inc. roller coaster, you could fit another attraction within just that section of the roller coaster itself, which gives you a good understanding of the size and scale of the door warehouse environment that we're going to be traveling around inside on this roller coaster here. And then there's two other sections here, and the first one is the section kind of on the side of a building, and that measures out to be approximately 3,800 square feet. And I've referred to this as kind of like the end corridor, but given the direction of travel, we now know that this is most likely going to be a brake run for the roller coaster before you come back into the unload area for the attraction. And I also reckon that given the size of it, it could also possibly be some sort of final show scene for the attraction, just like one last little story point or story beat before you then come back into the unload area. And then the other area is this section, and it is measured out to be around 10,400 square feet. Now, the reason why I've broken this section out individually from the loading area is because if we look at the model, the roller coaster actually leaves the door warehouse at some point and seemingly goes through one door and comes back in through another door. And it kind of does this loop out into this section here, which is actually located above the unload, final brake run area for the attraction. So they kind of share the same space, but also on different levels here. So they'll most likely be separated by some sort of themed environment there. And I've seen lots of speculation, but this could maybe be some sort of scene involving the abominable snowman from Monsters Inc., that scene there, or maybe they go off into the tropics, but who knows what it could be. It's most likely going to be some sort of comical scene where we go through and we're out into a bedroom of some sort, or some place in the real world, not Monstropolis, and then back into the door warehouse to continue the roller coaster. And then the last part of this whole thing is that because we've got the GIS map, we can also measure out the front section, which will be the queue area for this attraction. And obviously we can't see any foundation work on this area yet, but it measures out to be approximately 17,000 square feet. So quite a sizable area for the queue, because this attraction is going to handle a lot of capacity. And I reckon the hourly capacity could be somewhere close to 2,000 people an hour, which would be very good for a roller coaster, and especially for a suspended roller coaster. But obviously that's just a ballpark number. I don't know what the hourly capacity is yet until we start to see more details on how many roller coaster trains and how it's all going to work from that standpoint. But that's not everything, as this roller coaster is part of the larger Monsters Inc. land at Hollywood Studios, or Monstropolis, and there's been a lot of construction that's happening on that area as well, which is obviously the former Muppets Courtyard. So I just want to quickly do a construction update on that as well. Now, the wall that was separating Grand Avenue and Grand Park, or the former Muppets Courtyard, has been completely demolished, which is odd because in the initial artwork it seemed that that wall was going to remain in place. But the fact that they've demolished that wall and they've extended the construction footprint further out, it seems to indicate that Monstropolis will be expanding further into Grand Avenue. So there'll be a new wall that gets put up into place, but Maybe that's to expand the queue area for whatever's replacing Muppet Vision 3D within Monstropolis. And speaking of Muppet Vision 3D's former location, or what will soon be known as the Glob Theatre, we don't know what this attraction is going to be. I think we'll find out at D23 this year exactly what this attraction is going to be. But they've taken out a good chunk of the front of that building, and they're now installing new steel supports to then install the very large marquee that will adorn the outside of the building. And then another big part of Monstropolis is going to be the recreation of the Harryhausen's restaurant from the movie. And in the initial artwork that we saw for this land, it looked like this Harryhausen's was going to be a fresh, clean build for this restaurant location. But given the fact they've already demolished the Stage 1 company store merchandise building located right in the middle of the former Muppets courtyard, and they've moved all the rubble out, I don't think we're going to see any more demolition in the area. So what was formerly Mama Melrose, I think that's going to get rethemed to Harryhausen's, and it's not going to be demolished and have a new building built in its place. I think they're going to do extensive work to the outside of that building. The Melrose restaurant actually shares the same building as Pizza Rizzo, and most likely shares the same kitchen. So to demolish just one part of that building would be very expensive, very difficult to do, and I think that's the reason why they're choosing to retheme the entire outside of the Melrose section of the building to Harryhausen's. But they'll be doing extensive theming in that area, and we can also see that more of the facades are being stripped away. So interesting from that standpoint for Monstropolis. Many things are changing there, but initially with all of this I thought that we were going to see Monstropolis open first and then Monsters Inc. coaster later, but given the fact the pace of what they're working on with the Monsters Inc. coaster at the moment, I think that this is all going to open together. And if I was to make a prediction for a time frame, which could be very silly right now this far out, I think we could be targeting 2028 for all of Monstropolis to open all together at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I think it's going to be next level in terms of a roller coaster experience there. I just really hope that they theme the exterior of the building and make it look like the Monsters Inc. HQ, like we can see in the artwork. They deliver that, and it's not just another box that we're meant to turn a blind eye to. So very excited to see Monstropolis coming together. But now it's over to you, the Waltoniers. I would like to know, what are your thoughts and opinions on this Monsters Inc. roller coaster and Monstropolis in general, and what kind of show scenes would you like to see take place within the Monsters Inc. roller coaster, considering that there seems to be quite a few different locations where different story elements could happen within the roller coaster itself. And if you've enjoyed this video for today, then subscribe down below, check out the rest of the videos on the channel, and also give this video a massive thumbs up. And I'd also like to say a massive thank you to the official Waltonier Club over on Patreon for always supporting this channel. It's greatly appreciated. And also a massive shout out to the official Waltonier Gold members that you can see here on the screen right now, as well as official Waltonier Diamond members JC Russell, Justin Tupper, and Tim and Stephen Parsons. And with that being said for today, I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.